want to scale your application, you need to scale entire application. So migration and enhancements also little bit difficult in your monolithic application, and team management also a bit difficult in a monolithics. So that's the reason people move to the microservice architecture. But here, if you carefully observe, after monolithics, we didn't directly come to the microservices. So after monolithics also, there is another kind of a buzzword you are going to be hearing, that is something called as a distributed applications you are going to be hearing. So what these distributed applications we are going to be doing and how this distributed application will actually involved in the picture is, if you carefully observe, whenever we're developing this kind of a bus booking app, train booking app, we have a same platform, then we don't have any issue. But coming to the flight booking app, we decided we want to develop something on a Node.js. But that is where our issue was occurred, because a Java application cannot able to communicate with the Node.js application directly. So directly you created some kind of a Java object. That Java object that is not understood by the Node.js object. Why? Because Java object skeleton is a different, that schema is a different, that all those things are the different. Node.js compilation processes are different, its schema is a different, it's all everything is going to be different. So that's where a lot of people actually expecting some kind of a, so where we can able to communicate with the different kind of a technologies, where we can communicate with the distributed application they are going to be expecting to solve this kind of application, to solve this kind of a challenges. After we didn't came directly microservices, we came called as a distributed applications, we came to the picture. So what is the distributed application is, probably you hear something called as a web services. After monolithics, to solve this kind of a, one application need to communicate with another application irrespective of the platform. So to solve this kind of a issue after monolithics, people actually started using something called as a web services they used. So this web services is one of the technology, so which will help you to implement distributed systems. Distributed systems. What this distributed systems will do is, it will actually help you to implement something called as a interoperability. It will actually help you to implement the interoperability. Simple example dear. Have you ever purchased anything in Amazon or a Flipkart or anything? So did you purchase anything in Amazon or somewhere?
Yes.
So in that Amazon or a Flipkart or anything, so you are able to place the order. You want to make a payment. Is Amazon people have any bank? Or Flipkart people have any bank?
No.
So Amazon people has to depend upon the some Access Bank or some kind of a state bank or something. So our payment has to be deducted from that. So now see, Amazon, let us assume Amazon was developed on the, we are belonging to the Amazon people. The entire Amazon application developed on the Java. Now we need to communicate with that Access Bank. Are you guaranteed Access Bank also developed on the Java?
No.
You are not sure, because that is their area of interest. So whatever the technology they picked up, so they are going to be developing with their interested technology they are going to be taking. That is the one thing, we don't know what technology they used. Okay, let us see. I don't have any issue, so I don't know what. Okay, even if they developed on the Java also, now I need to communicate with the Access Bank and I need to perform my payment operation. So how we can communicate with that Access Bank? So can we ask the Access Bank people, hey, please give your database details. I will do my operations and I will not share with anyone, and I will going to be do my operation silently. I will going to be close my connection. So do Access Bank is going to be allow you to communicate with their database to perform the operation? Definitely they will kick with the left leg, not even the right leg. They will kick with the left leg. So then how we can? So because the application is not belonging to our platform and we don't know what technology they are using and what platform they are using, we don't know. So now two independent systems has to distribute their operation or their data. So to solve these changes, distributed applications came into the picture. So that is nothing but web services came into the picture. So in the web services, what will happen is, so you are having the two independent systems you are going to be having. So that may be Amazon or that may be Axis Bank, two independent systems. So both are running on, we don't bother. So maybe Amazon running on the Java, your Axis Bank running on the .NET. So we are not sure. So and we even don't bother also. But our requirement is we need to make a communication between these two independent systems. We need to make the communication. So that's where we're going to be convert both systems what could understand. So we are going to be convert our objects into that one. For example, so let us say our Amazon application working on some kind of a Java, or our Amazon application running on a Java. Now we will convert this Java object into some XML format. So whatever the Java object we are having, that will convert into a XML format. Now, let us say this Axis Bank people. So they also running, they also using some kind of a .NET. So .NET also have a capability to read this XML object. So just this XML object read by the your .NET application. So your Java object converted into a XML. At the same way, the XML can be read by your Axis Bank. So now both application choose one same platform where they can understand exchanging the data. So here the converting of this Java object into XML, that's will called as a marshalling, we will call it here. So the same way XML to some other object, XML to some Java object, XML to some .NET object, that will call as a unmarshalling. So converting an object into XML, a Java object to XML, or a .NET object into XML, or a Python object to XML, that's will call as a marshalling. So XML to some .NET object, XML to some Java objects, that will call as a unmarshal, we will call. So here, once you convert your application into some your data into some kind of XML, so this XML is read by some .NET object. So to convert these operations and to make sure is it properly converted or not, so this is where you are going to be using something called as SOAP web service. You are going to be using SOAP web service is nothing but that one only. So SOAP web services, what it will do is it will just convert your Java object into a XML, and it will have a capability to distribute your data between the two independent systems. This mechanism is there, right? So you are going to be distributing your operation. Maybe you are distributing your data between two independent systems, irrespective of the platform. Maybe application 1 running on a Java, application 2 running on a .NET, application 1 running on a .NET, application 2 running on a Python. I don't bother. I'm able to distribute my data, or I'm able to distribute my operation irrespective of the platform, irrespective of the programming language, irrespective of the framework. So that's we will call something called as a interoperability. We will call that mechanism, we will call as a interoperability. The meaning of a interoperability is irrespective of the platform, irrespective of the framework, irrespective of the programming language, if one system able to communicate with the another system, so that's will call as a interoperability. If you choose XML to communicate with the one system to another system in an interoperable nature, so that is nothing but your SOAP web service. So that's where you are able to distribute your data, or you are able to distribute your functionality between two independent systems. So that's we will call as a SOAP web service. We are going to be calling SOAP web service is for this one here. So in a SOAP web service, what we are going to be doing is we are achieving the interoperability between two independent systems in the format of the XML. So if your data exchanged between two independent systems, irrespective of the platform, irrespective of a programming language, irrespective of the framework, in the format of the XML, your data was exchanged between two independent systems. So that is nothing but your SOAP web service. So now, once you use the SOAP web service, your systems are eligible to, so two independent systems, your systems are eligible to distribute your application, distribute your data without any kind of a dependency. So that's where you are able to achieve the interoperability you can able to achieve. So that's what. So you are having the two independent systems you are having. You are able to happily exchange the data. That's where you can able to work. So I can say once upon a time, early 2000s, people are more inclined to about the SOAP web service only. If you take any project, they will take the SOAP web service. But somehow people will actually started using this SOAP web services a little bit less. Why? Because SOAP web services is a protocol, dear. So what do you mean by the protocol? Is protocol is nothing but a set of rules. So here if you see, if I want to exchange the data between two independent systems, I need to obey the SOAP protocol, which means I need to convert both the objects into a XML. So I'm following that rule. So protocol is nothing but a rule only, set of rules you are having. I'm following that rule. So I don't have any other choice. Only XML format I'm going to be converting. And that too, how I can convert. Let us say some data I'm giving, some kind of a method I'm giving, how I need to convert, how I need to do all those things. That everything described in the form of the WSDL file. So WSDL file is one of the implementation for your SOAP, how you need to perform. So that WSDL file consisting all the rules, WSDL file consisting all the information about your SOAP web service, how you need to create your SOAP web service, how you need to consume your SOAP web service, what SOAP web service is going to be providing. So everything was exposed through this WSDL file only. So that's the reason. So first of all, if I want to make the communication between two distributed systems, I need to take care. I need to obey the WSDL file. I need to obey the WSDL file uh, s- rules, as well as I can able to transfer only in the XML format only, as because I'm following these rules. So on top of these rules only, I can able to transfer my data. Apart from the XML, I cannot able to use any kind of other data format. So that's the reason. So there's a SOAP web service called as a protocol. So early 2000s, people will actually use the more and more SOAP web services. We are having a lot of frameworks to implement these SOAP web services. With the Spring also, you can develop the SOAP web services. With some other application also, you can develop with the SOAP web services like Apache CXF. So there is another framework, or you can use the plain Java also to convert your uh, Java object into XML. There is something called a SAX parsers we are having. The SAX parsers, everything will going to be help you to convert your Java object into a XML. So that XML, that's a target system, how they will read everything they are going to be taking care. So that's where your SOAP web services played a major role. But people, some enthusiastic developers, they thought, "Oh, okay, so we are only depending upon the XML. We might not able to in a future, if I want to enhance our implementations, or if you want to implement or any more and more functionalities also, people feel a little bit it is a congested way, because only XML it's a bit congested way, and that too SOAP web service follows strict rules. Even if you didn't provide any kind of a proper XML tags, or if you didn't follow your XML again consisting of a schema, so that is will call as a namespaces. So you need to follow that namespaces a little bit difficult. So technically, if you observe, working with the SOAP web service is a little bit difficult, because you need to work with all the schemas, and you need to define all the schemas, everything. So a little bit hard work you need to keep while working with the SOAP web services. So to reduce the burden with respect to of this protocol nature, so to reduce the burden with respect of the SOAP, so after 2000, So there is another protocol came into the picture. So that is not actually a protocol. Another way how you are going to be communicating with the distributed systems, that is nothing but Rust came into the picture. That is nothing but RESTful web services came into the picture. So this RESTful web services came into the picture. So one good thing is this RESTful web service is a architecture tier. So they didn't release it as a protocol. So they given in the architecture. So mostly the objects whatever you are having, you are going to be converting into a JSON. So that a JSON can be understood by your two independent distributed systems. But your Rust will never restrict you. Hey, you have to convert only into the JSON. No. So Rust will always allow you your choice. So whatever the in a two independent distributed systems, what the data you want to exchange, Rust will give a chance to architect your data. So whatever the format, if you want to convert into a JSON object, yes, it will support. If you want to convert into a string object, yes, it will support. If you want to convert into a HTML object also, yes, it will support. If you want to convert again a XML format, yes, it will support. So that's a reason. How you will architect is everything is your choice. That is available in your hand. So that's a reason Rust web service will call something called as a architecture we will call. So Rust is a architecture because of this reason. SOAP is a protocol because we need to obey only in XML format. We have to follow the rules in a visual file. But coming to the REST web services, we don't have anything related to converting of your data or any restrictions about your data formats. So architecting the data is completely in the developer hand. How you will architect is ultimately his choice. That's the reason Rust will going to be calling as a architecture. It is not any kind of a web protocol. Rust is called as a architecture. So in a Rust, you are having the JSON. You can able to expose the data in the form of the JSON. You can able to expose the data in the form of the string or some kind of HTML or some kind of a function also you can able to expose. Suppose one distributed system calling another distributed system. So if at the time of a calling, you want to execute some kind of a function, yes, it will actually help you. So that's where, so there is a no restriction about the data format. So the rest will actually offering a number of data formats. So as a developer, that's everything in your hand, how you are going to be architect your data. So that's the reason Rust is treated as a architecture. SOAP is a protocol. So with this either REST or a SOAP, we are able to enter into something called as a distributed era. So now two applications can able to communicate with without any kind of a tight dependency. So maybe my target system is some .NET, my source system something called as a Java. We don't bother. So we are going to be take either SOAP or REST web services, and we are going to be converting that either into XML or a JSON or some kind of a string format. We can able to exchange the data. So this is where one problem is solved. In early 2000s, one problem is solved, that is the communication between the multiple independent systems. So that is nothing but a distributed system. So we are able to solve that issue. Now, so we'll communicate a monolithic application. So this platform, your monolithic apps are depending upon the platform dependent. So this issue was resolved by using this web services, because we developed one application in a some kind of a REST web services, SOAP web services, or a target microservices. Now see, the whole application, if we develop in the form of the XML or in the form of the SOAP web services or REST web services, so they have interoperability and we don't need to bother about that. So even if you in the future, if you want to communicate through your Node.js application also, yes, we can able to communicate. So in a monolithic application, this to solve this platform independency, To solve this platform dependency, this distributed applications came into the picture. By using this distributed application, we are able to solve the issue communicating with the two independent systems. Two independent systems, we are able to communicate irrespective of the programming language, irrespective of the framework, or irrespective of the platform also. So let us say my application one running on the some Java on a Windows platform. So my application two running on a some kind of a .NET on a Windows platform. So even if both platforms also different also, we don't need to bother. It is going to be happily communicated. So that's where we are able to solve this issue by using the distributed systems. And now this is where a comparison will going to be started. Okay, we are able to solve the issue between the two distributed systems. So then what is the difference between this Rust and the microservices? So why again microservices came into the picture? As I mentioned, microservices is not a technology, it is a architecture design pattern. So if you want to develop a microservices, if you want to develop a microservice, so three functionalities must ensure it is consisting. So first one is your microservice must consisting of a single functionality. Second one is independent, deployable, and manageable. So we supposed to independently deploy this service, and we suppose independently manageable. And third one is interoperability. So if you are able to develop your application by using these three characteristics, so then your can tell you developed a microservice. Let us say you developed an application. You developed an application. So that service consisting only single function. Let us say order service. Only order related functionalities only we are going to be keeping here. So like placing an order, retrieving an order, deleting an order, only order related functionalities we are keeping. So independently manageable. So let us say you created the functionalities and you are going to be managing this independently in a one dedicated Tomcat server you are going to be taking, and in the dedicated Tomcat server you are going to be running this order service, so which is independently deployable. Suppose in the future if you want to restart the order services Tomcat also, you no need to bother. So remaining application is going to be run as it is. We don't have any issue. And interoperability, let us say you taken something called as a SOAP web service. If I take a SOAP web service, so my SOAP web service consisting of interoperability, I don't have any issue. So I can able to communicate with the one application to another application. So then, yeah, this is a microservice only, no issue on that. So I take in the SOAP web service, I develop the service, and I have only single functionality, and I'm running my application in a independently. I'm running my application independently. Yes, I can tell this is a microservice. So maybe in future you develop another service. Let us say some kind of a user service you developed. Only user related functionalities you are going to be taking, like retrieving the user details, retrieving the username, updating the username, so deleting the username. So only user related things you are going to be taking. And you taken something called as a, no, you didn't take any technology. So just to achieve the interoperability, you taken the plain Java you taken. So even plain Java also, you can able to expose the interoperability. So like you are going to be taking that HTTP pack Java.NET classes. So and you are going to be writing that your own classes. You are not going to be taking either SOAP or a REST. You are just taking that Java. So you are going to be converting some kind of some REST or XML you are going to be taking. Yes, then this is also microservice. So similar way you developed another service. So let us say this is something called as invoice service. So this invoice service consisting of all the invoice related information, how many invoices we are going to be creating, so how many invoices presently reverted, how many invoices are delivered. So that's everything is available here. So now you just taken the REST web services to achieve the interoperability, single functionality interoperability, and you are going to be deploying in a independent Tomcat you are going to be deploying. So you are having the three characteristics. Yes, you are having the microservices. So now see, which means you can develop a microservice with a SOAP also. You can develop a microservice with a plain Java also. You can develop a microservice with a REST web service also. There is nothing limited, so there is a no restriction also. Microservice means you are going to be developing all the REST web services. No, nothing like that. So if your service able to obey these characteristics, single functionality and independent deployable and manageable and interoperability, and you are having consisting of interoperability, so that's we will call as a microservice. So while developing a service, so you take in only single functionality. If you are taking a only single functionality and you are having a interoperability, that may be if you are able to achieve that interoperability, maybe through a SOAP, maybe through a REST, maybe through a plain Java, ultimately, if you are able to achieve the interoperability, single functionality and interoperability, and with the independent deployment. So it's not the thing, again, you are going to be clubbing the multiple services and you are again deploying in the same server. So that will actually again causes the downtime to your all other services. Your services must be in a independent deployable and independently manageable. So if your service able to obey these three functionalities or three characteristics, then that will become a microservice. Then you will get some kind of a question here. So in that case, Harsha, why 95%, maybe you people didn't hear microservices with the SOAP web services, microservices with the plain Java, you may not hear it also. So if you work with some product based companies, like when I'm working with the Oracle, there we are not using any Spring or anything. So when I work in the Oracle, we developed only plain Java only. That Java.NET package only we are going to be using. With the Java.NET package, we are going to be creating our microservices. It's not we will never use any kind of third-party libraries in Oracle. So that kind of restrictions we are having. So that's where. So it's not the thing every time you are using the REST web services. It's not the thing every time you are using the SOAP web services. So sometimes you may need to go for the plain Java protocols also. So there is a Java, maybe you guys work with a little bit less. There is something called the Java.NET package you are having. So let me show that. So this .NET package you are having all your, so you can able to create your all HTTP protocols. You can able to perform all your operations. So URA, so how you can represent the URA, so URLs, everything you can able to mention. So by using this Java.NET package, we developed a service which can communicate with the other service in an interoperable nature. So that's where if you are able to develop a service with a single functionality, independently deployable and manageable, and which can able to perform some kind of a interoperable operation, so that is a microservice. But why nowadays most people more inclined towards the REST web services? So the only one reason is somehow people will actually habituated for the comfort zone. I can literally say, so they're habituated for the comfort zone, because SOAP web service means you need to create the WSDL file and you need to consume the WSDL file and you need to write a lot of skeleton for that. So designing that SOAP web service is a tricky thing and it is a little bit complex. So that's the reason even now also the secure systems, most secure systems are the SOAP web service only. It's not that much easy to corrupt that SOAP web services. So you need to define the your all website all protocols in the WSDL file. So more securely you are going to be designing that one. So comparatively, REST web services, SOAP web services are more secure. But the same level complexity is also involved. How much secure a SOAP web service, same level complexity also involved. And that too, it is supporting only XML. That's where people will actually regretted. So every time working with the XML, and because of this XML, your SOAP web service consuming through the UI protocol is a little bit difficult. Suppose you are having the SOAP web services application, you want to consume from UI application. So that's where again you need to use that related technology you need to choose. If it is a JSON, you can work with any UI technology. So maybe Angular or React, you can able to go that one. Suppose if you are going for the SOAP web service, So then JSX you need to take a JavaScript with XML format, because SOAP web service will expose the data in the XML. Now you need to convert that XML into some kind of a JavaScript object you need to convert. So there is some limited support from the UI also. So that's where people will actually more inclines toward the REST web services, because REST web service is the architecture. You can able to convert any kind of a data format into any kind of a data format. REST will never restrict you. Suppose you developed a web service. So you just use something called as a JSON. So maybe in future you want to change. Okay, you can able to change in some other data format. So maybe a JSON, maybe XML, maybe some kind of a string, maybe some kind of XML. So everything you can able to convert with the REST. Because of that comfort, lot of people inclined towards the REST web services. That's the reason microservice means most of the cases you are going to be using the REST web services only. That doesn't mean you cannot able to develop the microservices with a SOAP. No. With a SOAP also you can able to develop the microservices. But your service consisting of the single functionality, and your service must consisting of the independent, deployable, and the manageable. So this is where the question will going to be trigger. What is the difference between then in that scenario? Let us say I go for the REST web services. I developed the single functionality. I developed the independent manageable. I developed the interoperability. So will you agree? So this application is a microservice means yes, I will agree. So maybe in future I developed a couple of REST services, and again I while developing the REST web services, I clubbed one or more functionalities, not a single functionality. So REST service I developed. In this REST web service, I clubbed the multiple functionalities. I have a order functionality, and I have something called as a user functionality. Maybe I'm having something called as a invoice functionality. So I developed a REST API which is consisting of all the functionalities. So which consisting of the order functionality, user functionality, invoice functionality, everything it is consisting. So if a REST web service, or if a system consisting of an interoperable nature with a multiple functionalities, so then that will become a REST API. So this is the very thin line between the REST web service and a microservice tier. Very thin line. So very less difference. So REST API and a microservice. So if you take a REST API have a interoperability with the multiple functionalities. So because of this reason, in the future, you want to fix some issue in this REST API. So there is some issue in order functionality. You are going to be down your server. Let us say your REST API you developed and you deployed in some kind of a Tomcat. And you developed a Tomcat. So your REST API consisting of order functionality, user functionality, invoice functionality. So let us say one system, three systems consuming your API. So system 1, system 2, system 3. So system 1 consuming the order functionality, system 2 communicating with the user functionality, system 3 communicating the invoice functionality. Three systems independently consuming your functionality. All three systems able to communicate with your REST API. They're able to perform their operations according to that one. So somehow I got some issue with the order functionality. Now to fix that order functionality, I just updated the REST API. I down this Tomcat and I'm able to reload. So now see, in this meantime, remaining two systems also will affected or not? Because REST API consisting of the three functionalities at a time. Even if you want to fix the single functionality also, remaining user functionality, invoice functionality also get affected. So which means this remaining two systems also will wait until the REST API up and running. So this is where REST API only achievable with respect to of the interoperability, but it may be consisting of the one or more functionality. So that is a REST API. REST API is nothing but if you are API consisting interoperable nature and consisting of a one or more functionalities. So that is a REST API. So REST API will never restrict you. You have to make only one kind of a functionality, nothing. So if you take a one API, or if you are able to design one system and which consisting of a interoperability, that's it. Nothing more than that. If it is consisting of interoperability, we don't care. Maybe it is consisting of a single functionality or a multiple functionality. We don't care. So that is a REST API. But at the time of a designing, we taken care about that. So boss, I'm designing my service. My service must consisting of a interoperable like this. I will develop a order service which consisting of only order functionality, which consisting of only order functionality, and which is running on their independent service. So independently deployable, independently manageable. If something goes wrong with the order functionality, only order service we are going to be updating. And similarly, I will take something called as user service. So which is running independently in its own Tomcat or something, it is going to be running, which consisting of a interoperability, which consists of single functionality, which consisting of a independent deployable, and we can independently manageable. And similarly, we are having something called as a invoice service. Invoice service we developed, and this is running its own Tomcat. So its own independently deployable and independently manageable. In the future, if some system want to communicate with the order service, so system one, so let us say we are having the system one, system two like this. System one means some third party applications there, we don't bother. So maybe some other applications communicating. So system one want to communicate the order service, they can communicate directly with the order service. System two want to communicate the user service. System three want to communicate with the invoice service. They can independently communicate. So I have some issue with the order service. Now I will try to work on this only order service, but system two, system three will not get down. They will going to be run independently. So they will happily communicate with the user service Tomcat. Because of this reason, in other systems is not getting affected, and my entire application will not going to be a downtime. So that's we will call as a microservice. So very thin line between the microservice and REST API here. REST API means interoperability with the multiple functionalities. That is acceptable. So maybe one functionality or multiple functionality, that your choice, but you have to expose the your application have to communicate with the other systems irrespective of the framework. It has to expose the interoperability. That is the REST API. So if you are having only single functionality and which is the independently deployable and independently manageable, and it is a interoperable, so that is a microservice. A microservice is nothing, indirectly a microservice is a REST API which consisting of a single functionality with independently deployable and independently manageable. So if you design not only REST API in the future, because nowadays most of the people using REST API, so that's the reason that people considering microservices also REST API. But in actual practical opinion, so if a service can able to communicate with the multiple services irrespective of the framework or anything, and which is consisting of a single functionality and which can able to expose the interoperability, so that is nothing but your microservice. So microservice is nothing but a service which built around a single functionality, independently deployable and interoperable. So that is a microservice. So this is the difference between your REST API and microservice here. So just if you recall, first we started with the monolithic. So monolithic means everything into a indivisible unit, into a single war file. So that is the indivisible unit. That is a single indivisible unit. That is the monolithic. So after that, so we came to the Distributed systems, like you are going to be sharing your data with one application to another application, irrespective of any kind of a platform or a framework. That is nothing but your distributed systems. That is nothing but your web services. So now we are in the era of the microservices. So microservices is not a new thing. Earlier also we are having, but people will actually have a less appreciation for the microservices. But as because our community was grown and distributed usage was more and more, and people are expecting some kind of a more and more kind of, and that too I can honestly tell this microservice terminology got increased when Spring involved. So before this Spring also microservices is there. By using the plain Java applications, or by using the plain Java services also with also microservices. But once Spring involved in their microservices ecosystem, then microservices got a more and more appreciation. So that's where nowadays microservices more people using. Why? Because of only two reasons. First one is the interoperability. Second one is the independent deployable, independent manageable. So interoperability, anywhere you can able to achieve through your web services, either it is a SOAP web service or REST web service. So if you are able to develop a functionality, a service with a single functionality with interoperability, and it is independently deployable and manageable, yes, you can tell that is your microservice. So that is the difference between the REST web service and the microservice. So REST web service may be consisting of the multiple functionalities, but only it is focused on the interoperability. Microservice means single functionality, interoperability, and independently. So if you are able to achieve these three characteristics, that doesn't matter that with a SOAP web service or with a REST web service or with some other. So if you are able to achieve these three characteristics, so that is nothing but your microservice. Got it? Difference between a REST web service and a microservice. Any questions, any confusions? Not getting any response. So what is the main difference between the REST and microservice? REST web service is a interoperable in nature, but may consisting of a one or more functionalities. That is a REST web service. But microservice means
Single functionality and we can deploy independently.
so microservice is nothing but a interoperable and a single functionality and independently deployable and manageable. So that is a microservice. So here 90% if you see any project, microservice project, any project means there will be a Spring Boot. Definitely everywhere you are using the Spring Boot only. Microservice means Spring Boot. Microservice means Spring Boot. Out of 100 projects, 95 projects, I can honestly say 95 projects, microservice projects means Spring Boot only. So why people are more inclined towards a Spring Boot? Why this one is? So because of that extensive support for the from the Spring Boot. So what Spring Boot people will do is, because Spring is involved everywhere. So by using the Spring, you can able to develop any kind of applications. You can develop the standalone application. You can develop a web-based application. You can develop any kind of other distributed application also you can develop. Is by using the Spring, you can perform integrations operations also. You can perform any kind of canonical operations also. Everything you can able to perform. By using this Spring, you can able to develop mobile based applications also as well. So similarly, whenever you are having a microservices, 95% 95 times you are going to be using a Spring Boot only. So why Spring played a major role in the microservices, how Spring actually capture the market. To see this one, I want to give some kind of a behind the scenes of the Spring also here. So like first of all, why Spring, how Spring is actually more suitable for the microservices. Not only microservices, for any kind of application, how Spring is suitable. So why Spring is capturing this market? So that's where we are going to be developing our first Spring Boot application.
So that setuping of a Spring Boot application, how you are going to be working with the Spring Boot application, what are the things you need. So that's we'll check out on a Monday session we will discuss. But coming to the Monday, you need to do two things dear. So you can do, first one is set up your system with the Java 17, minimum 17 version, because Spring Boot 3 will not support below 17 version. So minimum Java 17 version you need to set up. So try to install the Java 17 and set your Java version. So even if I just to open my command prompt, if you just to check, so it is a Java 17 version is set up in my version. So please set up the Java 17 version. So because we are working with the Spring Boot 3, so make sure your every laptops consisting of a Java 17. So if you are having the Java 17 version, you can able to work with a Spring Boot 2 also. That's okay. That's no problem. So we are going to be giving that justifications how you are going to work the Spring Boot 2 and Spring Boot 3. All those things we are going to be work. So but what I mean to say is, initially we are going to be working with the Spring Boot 3. So that's the reason. So you need to set up your version with the Java 17 must and should you need, because Spring Boot 3 will not support the lower versions. It need minimum of a Java 17 version. So by coming to the Monday session, please set up your Java 17 version. Please set up your Java 17 version. So then try to download an IDE. Try to download an IDE. So that is your choice. My preferable is STS tier. I'm using STS. So if you want to use something called the Visual Studio Code, or if you want to use something called the IntelliJ, your choice. There is no restriction. If you want to work with those IntelliJ, all those things. But if you are going for the IntelliJ, so there is if it is enterprise version, that's okay. If you purchase some kind of a license, so you are having awesome features on that. If it is something called the community edition, you don't have that much suitable features regarding the Spring, because while if I'm updating some kind of a properties, it will not give any auto suggestions. In a community edition, less support for the Spring. If you go for some kind of a enterprise edition, you are having the full support. Even if you want to try without IntelliJ also, that's okay. If you want to go for the IntelliJ IDE, you can go. But my recommendation and my choice of one is this one, STS. I want to go Spring Tools for Eclipse based upon your platform. If you are using a Linux systems, you can use this one. If you are using a Mac OS, you can download this one. It will give some kind of a jar file here. Like this, it will give. It will give some kind of a jar file. Just a jar file. You no need to do anything. Once Java was set up properly in your system, just you need to double click on this. It will extract and it will give a folder like this STS. So in this STS, you will have this tool suite, Spring tool suite 4. Just you need to click. So this is not an installable application. It is a on-premises runnable application. Just you are going to be running your application. You no need to install. You can just quickly run that one. So just it will give a jar file, executable jar file. It will give. Just you need to double click on this, then automatically it will extract and it will going to be give this STS file. So make sure you are going to be making this STS, download this STS. I preferably use this STS. Why? Because in the future, giving some kind of auto suggestions or working with STS will give a little bit more and more comfort. So if you want to with other IDs also, no restriction, you can able to try it out also, no issue. So please make sure do these two things. First one is try to set up your Java 17 version in your system and one IDE. So for example, I'm using STS, or if you are using something called as some other IDEs also, that's okay. So try to set up one IDE in your systems. So the major role played by the Spring Boot in your in your microservices, how you are going to be working with us microservices. So the generating of a first Spring Boot application. So that's we'll check out on a Monday. We will check. As I mentioned, Saturday, Sunday we don't have a classes because I will take a weekend batches. So because of that reason, Saturday, Sunday we don't have. Monday to Friday you are having. Extensionally will discuss concepts on this Monday to Friday. Saturday, Sunday based upon the concept. Maybe sometimes I need to spend a bit long time, so that's where Saturday I will announce. If you Saturday, if I'm having the class, I will announce. So generally we don't have a classes on Saturday, Sunday. So take a break for tomorrow and we'll catch up on Monday. So Monday we will see how we are going to be working with the first Spring Boot application. And first of all, why Spring Boot is the best suitable for the microservices. What is the necessary things we need to do work with in the Spring Boot microservices. So that we'll check out on a Monday session. Thank you. We'll catch you on Monday. Have a good day. Any questions before winding off? Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Before starting the Spring Boot, can we have like some basic, uh, like, because what happened, I know like Core Java and Advanced, but not about like Spring Core basics, basic things and all. So, if is it possible, like before starting like Spring Boot, you have covered some important topics about like Spring Core, what is this? And all.
So you don't need to worry on that here. Spring Boot means I'm not directly starting the Spring Boot. Spring Boot as an environment will set up, but in a Spring Boot, if you want to work with the Spring Boot, definitely you need a Spring Core concept. So probably you missed the roadmap. First, we'll discuss this Spring Core only. Directly will not start the Spring Boot. So first we'll discuss the Spring Core. First, plain Spring will discuss Spring Core, Spring MVC. Then Spring REST, all those things we'll discuss.
Okay, yes, yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
So Spring Boot as an environment level, we are going to be setting that one, but we'll first discuss the Spring Core concepts. So then Spring MVC, so then Spring Boot with the REST microservices. This will discuss step by step. All internals we are going to be covering. No worry on that. Yeah. So that's what. And
So, hello, sir. Are you able to hear?
yes, yes.
So, I need a little practice on core Java. Like, you have any suggestions? Like where I want some programs, and then I want to compile them and learn about concepts. Little bit brushing. You have any suggestion?
So you have a knowledge on the core Java, right? Put
Yeah.
aside of
Yes.
this practice, all those things put aside. So you know how to create an object. You need to work with the object, right?
Yeah.
No need to worry. So that practice also cover here only, because working with the Spring Boot means you are not going to be directly without using this core Java concepts. You are not going to be writing any kind of services or anything. That obviously that will cover here also. So the thing is, so this is a little bit student mentality. So they will learn, but they feel a little bit unconfident. So why? Because they think we need to practice more like that. So if you know the basics and if you are able to write a single program, so that's enough. So practicing anyway while you are working with the project, while we start the application, then you will get everything will get to know hands-on experience. No need to worry on this. So put that aside. So practicing all those things that any going to be covering with our application. While developing an application, without creating an object, we cannot able to create a microservice. Without using the collections, without using the multi-threading, without using all those things, we cannot able to do all our work. So that practice, everything will going to be covered here. No worry on that. So just believe yourself. You know core Java, so just first believe that one. I know core Java. Don't put that commas. I know core Java, need practice. Don't put that commas. Whatever you know, first believe that. Nothing. So the same code, whatever you are going to be writing, whenever you have a requirement, just you need to understand that requirement. That's it. So whatever the concepts you know, that's you are going to be applying on that requirement. Apart from nothing is there. So don't worry on that. So that practicing everything will going to be taken care here. So just try to brush up your core Java skills, that every concept will have the basic practices. That's it. So there is in my opinion, no need for a special attention for practicing all those things. If you are preparing some kind of a data structures algorithms, that is a different scenario. If you need that kind of a thing, I can give. So data structures algorithms, that kind of a preparation, then that's where I suggest one of the good thing. Generally, data structure algorithms people means, what is the first thing came to your mind is geeks for geeks. But in my opinion, geeks for geeks, it's a little bit clumsy dear. that huge topics and they don't have any proper roadmap. If you really need to practice the data success algorithms, so there is some Striver we are having, Striver SDE sheet. This guy will give a proper channel, all those things. Even Amazon people also, they will suggest. So when I'm stepping into, currently I'm working with the Microsoft, when I step into this Amazon, all those things also, I followed this one only. So if you really want to practice, if you want to become some kind of a data structures algorithms, I think this is one of the good thing. Geeks for Geeks, I think a little bit overrated. In my opinion, it is overrated. So they're just going to be collect all the details, all the programs just to keep in a unsorted manner. They will keep. So this is actually given a lot of comfort to me. Even when I done my IIT, if I step out from my IIT also, at that time we don't have this comfort. So what I prepared, so I that actually I'm seeing here. So if you need, I will.
Okay. Yeah.
I just given this here. In my personal opinion, this actually give a little bit. Apart from the Geek for Geeks, it's given a lot of contents. Even my IIT students also, I will just suggest this one only. It have all the practices. You can just check with your data success algorithms like a Striver DS sheet. So this is awesome, man. If you want to follow, so this will give out awesome. Top problems he will give. So Geek for Geeks a little bit overrated, in my opinion. It is overrated. So, and even if you see that Geeks for Geeks also, if you start preparing, so they will, I don't know. So it's a little bit clumsy. I don't know, is it only for me or everyone? A little bit clumsy. I don't know. There is a no proper channel, so they will give hundreds or 200, hundreds and 200s of questions. So that's all about thing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's what. So this is all about comparisons between your REST APIs and microservices, and that's where we are going to be working with all our microservices with the Spring Boot. And what's plays a major role as Spring Boot, the first Spring Boot application. And if you are starting the Spring Boot means we are starting with the Spring Core only. No need to worry on that. So that is Spring Core problems, everything. We are going to be start from on a Monday onwards. So I'm seeing a lot of people joining on the 8:40, all those things there. Please try to uh, actual classes are 8:30, so because it's the winters, you guys need some kind of a cushion. So 5 minutes, that's okay. So 8:30 we are having, and 8:35 until that, okay. But if you are still joining for the 8:40,
7:35.
sorry, yeah, 7:30 and 7:35, that's okay. But you guys are joining at a 7:40, 7:45, that's actually literally first 15 minutes is a crucial thing. In my classes, first 15 minutes we'll discuss the actual concept. So once you able to catch that actual concept, remaining everything is implementation of that one. So that's how your frameworks classes should be there. So you need to encounter the case study, so based upon your framework. So that's the reason, please try to, okay, 7:30 means at least we are Indians, we are so punctual. 7:30 means we'll be there at a 7:20 itself, we will be there. So that's the reason, please at least be 7:35. So don't take a more time, because it's 7:30 to 8:30. So solid 1 hour discussion will actually give a on-time completion of our course. So please, at least 7:35 if you're there, that is okay. But 7:40, 7:45, ultimately it's a little bit give some dilemma about a concept for that's for you. Thank you. We'll see. So by Monday, you are going to be make all those things. So how you are going to be working the Spring Boot, all those things. Okay. Thank you. Catch you on Monday. Have a good day. Meanwhile, I'm not sure if probably not 100%, probably maybe the link will change here. So please call the Ashok IT admin team. So just ask them so whether link is changing or not. If this link is changing, try to get the new link. So I think you already, once you registered your email IDs, they will follow up you in this Saturday, Sunday, if possible. I'm not sure. I also didn't get any intimation about the link change, but if change, please try to communicate with Ashok IT team, but 90% the same link only. So just to take a confirmation, and the people whoever want to register, you can just call the Ashok IT team. So they will going to register you. So they will guide you how you will get all these recordings, all those things. So please just give a call to the Ashok IT admin team regarding this batch. So they will guide you on how they all those things. Okay.
Okay, sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So I think Nishit, you only asked that one. So you can just call the Ashok IT admin team. So they will guide you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Catch you on Monday. So tight your seatbelts. Will fasten our Spring Boot journey on Monday onwards. Thank you. Have a good day.